Let's play.
Welcome viewers to another Sacred 2 side quest with me, Bezlonir. This time we are on the PS3. I'm just gonna go ahead and jump into our. I'll just continue. I'll just jump into our game here. We are going to be looking at a dual-wield melee Shadow Warrior spec'd into the Death Warrior and Malevolent Champion trees. Yeah, that's what it is. That's the ticket. Oh, okay. So we're gonna start out in this town here. I'll just run out. Might as well get right into it and show you myself fighting some mobs. But first, I am going to put on my buffs. Those buffs, I will tell you what they are right now. That is Grim Resilience, which gives me some extra spell resist and some hit point bonus and some health regen. And Reflective Emanation, which reflects close combat damage. I took a mod to reflect spells, which is the last mod that you can take in there. The third mod, and I think that's about it. We're walking a little bit fast because I took speed lore on this character. One of the reasons that I took speed lore on this character is that I don't really like the general skills that are available to him. I would like to be able to get him perception, but perception is a secondary skill, which means you have to choose another general skill and invest at least 5 points in one of those in order to be able to take perception. And the general skills that are available to you as primary skills is writing, which I don't really like too much. I don't feel like it, I guess I don't really know that much about it, but I didn't feel like it was too good for melee. And then blacksmithing, which is a huge red exclamation mark. That does not work on the PS3. If you're gonna do a Shadow Warrior like that on the PC, not the Xbox, because I think it's broken on the Xbox too. But if you're gonna do it on the PC, then no problem with taking Blacksmith, which is actually a good skill on there, and it would lead right nicely into Perception. So, but instead, I took Speed Lore, and one of the reasons is that if you, I don't remember the exact numbers, but I think when you explore 40% of the map or something like that, you get a certain amount of magic find, which is one of those somewhat more hidden mechanics of the game. So I figure that's one way to help this character get a little bit better gear. I've actually had some pretty good luck finding gear with him, despite the fact that I don't really have any perception or anything like that, but I do wear some gear that gives me some stuff. Yeah, one of the things about the Death Warrior is he's pretty cool looking. This armor, you see that little blue dot, so that is kind of small in this armor, but some armors it's like half his back or something, so you get a pretty cool effect there. That's one unfortunate thing about this game. Every time I try to do a video where I want to like go fight some things and then stop and explain some stuff, I can't stop and explain stuff for like more than 2 seconds before I get a bunch of mobs. So one thing about this Shadow Warrior, I don't know if I've called him a Death Warrior yet or not. I keep doing that. I think it might be because that's what they're called in German, and I've been modding. I've been looking in the scripts files and stuff, and a lot of the stuff in the scripts files is in German. So if you want to mod this game, there's a page in the modding forum on Dark Matters, the Dark Matters forums, which I guess you could just Google. I don't remember the exact website right now. But on that page on the Dark Matters forums, they have a translation of all the breakdown of all the skills, the translation of the German name that's in the spells.txt file into English. So this is our main thing, Demonic Blow here. That's my bread and butter. And good thing about that is I've modded it to give me some life steal. And I think that's the last mod on it, but that's one of the first things you want to get is mod out Demonic Blow, mod out Grim Resilience. So skills wise, dual wield, pretty important, but unfortunately that is a secondary skill, so that's why I took Tactics Lore very early, because you have to put 5 points into Tactics Lore, which has to be hard points. Obviously you can't get it from gear, you have to actually click on the skill when you get a level up and have free points. Then you can get dual wield after you have 5 points invested in weapon skills. Death Warrior focus is pretty good because that's what Grim Resilience and Demonic Blow are in. That's the aspect that they are in. And so that shortens the regen time, most importantly allows you to get a higher spell level without a penalty, which the penalty would be increased regen time. Armor Lore is always going to be good for him. Concentration allows me to run both of those buffs. Now, one of the big things about the Shadow Warrior is that when you put points into Tactics Lore, if you put 1 point into Tactics Lore, you get a point towards both Death Warrior and Malevolent Champion aspects, which you can't see here because on the PS3, because you don't get a gauge telling you how many points you have to invest before you get another bonus point to put into a combat art. Unfortunately, don't recall at the moment if there were any other differences. I think damage lore is bugged on the console, if I may recall hearing. It was one thing I considered putting on this character. Oh yeah, very, very big deal about this character. All 4 of these skills, Ruinous Onslaught, Augmenting Guidon, Killing Spree, and Rousing Command, are all temporary buffs, which is really awesome. You have 4 temporary buffs at your beck and call. Rousing Command is a really nice attack buff. Ruinous Onslaught is a defense/speed buff, and according to your preferences, you can mod that out either way you want. Augmenting Guidon is a banner which you put on the ground. It gives you roughly the area of a fully zoomed out screen, and it can increase your defense. You can mod it to increase experience gained in the area, which could be a really good mod at higher difficulty levels. I don't know. And Killing Spree is a nice offensive mod. I've modded it to increase my hit rate and my attack speed, which I find to be really good when I get to bosses, because you put all these together and you can really shred. So that is, I think, all that I wanted to show with the Shadow Warriors. So I will meet you back with the next character that I want to show. Alright, so here we have HAL 9000, our Devout Guardian, Temple Guardian. Yeah, so I showed off a Temple Guardian in the last video I made, where I showed off 3 different builds. But that Temple Guardian was a... you have to say this with a grain of salt, which doesn't make any sense, but I'm going to say it anyway. It was a kind of a spellcaster, but first I'm going to get my combat alert card on. And this is something that's central to the character that I guess I can't exactly show in town. Battle extension, which is on my X button right now, gives you that little arm that's coming out of my back right now, and so this kind of compensates for the fact that the Temple Guardian has his sort of like weapon arm on his left arm, so he can't dual wield, doesn't have that option. So when you get battle extension out, it kind of, as far as I could tell, it sort of acts like an offhand weapon. And one of the other good things that it does, and this is something I forgot to mention in my last thing when I was going over the Shadow Warrior, this has to do with the interface of the PS3. So you do have to slot your weapons into one of these quick slots, but I have it in my R2 tab, because if you press R2 you bring up 4 more slots. And then you can use that. I just, in my main slots I have dedicated blow, slotted to X, and if you hold that down, it will do dedicated blow if it's off cooldown, otherwise it'll do a regular melee hit. So you can just get into a crowd of mobs and hold down X, and you know you're going to be doing something productive no matter what, so you don't have to micromanage too much. It's kind of fun like that. And so you have to get this battle extension on. The problem with battle extension, it is, and this advocates, if you're looking at the description of combat art, it might sound good, but before you invest points in it, definitely make sure to try it, because look at this. This is battle extension. Now, granted, maybe that's kind of cool, but it's a really long animation time, which makes it not really useful. So yeah, so whenever you cast another spell or use a different combat art, it changes battle extension, so you gotta go back, click on battle extension to get this thing back, so that you can just hold down X and get your sort of quasi-dual wielding thing on. And that's how that'll work. So I'll start talking about some of these combat arts. Dedicated blow is, I'm using it as my meat and potatoes, and what the main thing it does is it converts damage into the damage type that the opponent has least resistance to. So I like to keep this on a pretty short regen for now, and basically the way it just kind of makes him like now I can't think of an analogy, but he just sort of chips away at the enemies, because he's almost always going to do some damage with that. Combat alert. Well, first I'll go over T Energy Shroud. I think I've been over that before. It gives you a energy shield, which the total you can see under ward efficiency, and that's the only way to see your total energy shield energy, which is based off a percentage of your HP. So if you want to make that bigger, you can raise your HP. I don't recommend putting points into Vitality because you really need them in Stamina, but you can get Vitality on your gear, perhaps. Willpower will also increase the size of your energy shield, as will Warding Energy Lore. However, you can take, and should take, the Recharge mod on T Energy Shroud, which enables energy recharge while in combat. Now that is governed by Tactics Lore, so putting points into Warding Energy Lore does not increase the amount. That increases the amount of maximum shield energy, which indirectly increases the amount of energy regen out of battle, because that is the formula for that is that you regenerate your the total value of your shield over 20 seconds. So that's how that works. But then you get a certain amount of in-combat regen based on the level of T Energy Shroud and Tactics Lore, and that's really good. It helps a lot to have that regen in battle. And then you have this combat alert, which is a good 8 attack or defense buff. You can mod it either way, and you can make it into a buff, but if you do, be aware that that's with the third mod, which I haven't got to yet. If you do make it a buff, however, it will cut those values in half. What I've done with this character was to make him a hybrid, I guess, because I took Source Word and Lore and Source Word and Focus. And I guess what I was thinking was that I'll get a lot of healing out of Charged Grid, which I haven't really seen come to fruition yet. I messed up a little bit. I wish I hadn't put points into Fiery Ember. Probably I would rather put him into Untouchable Force now. This is a buff that gives you a chance to stun opponents. Anyway, so that's how the T Energy Shroud works. And oh, so you also have Deathly Spears. I just haven't gotten enough mod points, and I really needed them elsewhere, but eventually I will modify Deathly Spears, and it should be a really good AoE. Right now I don't really get the chance to use it very much, but that's it right there. I'll just consult my notes. Oh, I would definitely look at the at a wiki and plan this character out really well, because it's easy to mess up, and they are they're pretty slow levelers. So here we have another Dryad, and we did look at a Dryad in the last Sidequest video, and that makes 2 repeat classes. However, this Dryad is very different from the Dryad that we looked at before. This is a ranged damage Dryad, so big difference in this game between magic damage and melee or ranged damage. Combat arts, because the combat arts that are not magic scale with weapons and are governed differently. Some skills only apply with
the maggots have taken out their napkins already.
Spells, and some skills only apply with weapons stuff. As if, for instance, if you're taking the magic character, it's almost completely pointless to take any kind of weapon skill. So right now we are using Ravished Impact. This is kind of another hybrid in a sense, because I'm getting a lot of I'm getting a lot of defense out of Nature Weaver, and I have 2 really big temporary buffs from Nature. So, things of note about this character. As I said, I get a lot of defense out of the Nature Weaver tree, and I also get a nice offensive buff from Acute Mind, which I rely on very heavily. And I have Tangled, this is very important in my opinion, I have Tangled Vine modded to the first mod, which I got pretty early on. I think as soon as I modded Ancient Bark out, then I got 1 mod in Tangled Vine. And that is for the Duration mod, which is for bosses. That way you can just root the boss, stand back, and shoot him at will, which works on all bosses except for a couple, which is like Karnak, because he has ads, which makes it a little hard to target him with Tangled Vines. Probably not as much of an issue on the PC because you target with the mouse, but here the targeting is not that great. So, important skills, very important. Sinister Predator. I seem to have a speech impediment. And I hope that the PS3 whining is not too bad. But the 2 things here that I think are very important is, well, rapid fire is good because it increases the attack speed. And this character is kind of all about attack speed. But this thing, Mark Shot adds a chance that opponents cannot evade or parry incoming shots, and Unflinching reduces the opponent's chance to deflect projectiles. Now, when you're at a low level, you'll see a lot of projectiles get deflected, and if you run any other kind of ranged character and you run into the giant bats, you will pull your hair out because they'll just deflect your projectiles left and right. But once you have this modded out, you won't see that happen, which this buff is what makes this character, in my opinion, the only true ranged damage character in this game, because no other character has anything like that. Other things that are big, Ravished Impact. I took a chance to get open wounds, can't talk again, and a chance that enemy armor value will be ignored. That's pretty good for bosses. Double shot. Now this is worthy of note. 2 shots in quick succession. Well, right now I am using, if I can go to my inventory, oh man, okay, I'm using a wooden bamboo pipe, and that is also the same as a hollow shot, and I believe there's a third thing that they're called, but these are Dryad specific weapons, and the thing about those is with Ravished Impact they actually do 3 shots, so you become like a machine gun, and that is very cool. Darting Assault is your AoE, and that is really cool with a bow. It also works pretty well with the hollow shot, but in my opinion, really cool with the bow. Forest Flight is like a teleport, and this Dust Devil gives you makes an AoE that gives you a chance to evade, which is pretty good. I just don't use it very much. I think I said Acute Mind gives you a big buff to attack speed, that's the main thing, and regen. Attack speed is the last mod though, so you won't get that till you sink a lot of points into it. Golden Glade Touch, as I will demonstrate here, I'm going to put it on and then go to my attributes. And as you can see, I think I've modded it to do this, but I get 1500 willpower, 1500 spell resistance. Pretty good, and as you can see by comparison to my other stats, that's basically godly. Let me see if there's anything else I wanted to mention with my combat arts. Okay. And I think, let's see, I think that's about it. Oh, okay, guess I should have talked about this before I went on a tangent. Something I did not do with this character that I probably wish I did, and you will find this aggravating on the PS3, by the way. You can't bring up the skills menu from this wheel. You have to remember which ones are next to the skills menu, go to the one that's next to it, and then tab over to it. Now, I wish I had taken bargaining on this character, which I probably could have got rid of. I'm not sure exactly what I could have got rid of, but maybe speed lore and then got bargaining, because here's the problem. Very rare to find bamboo pipes or hollow shots. They don't drop very often, so bargaining will help you to get them, because your easiest way to find them is from a vendor. And we are not even, we didn't even have, oh boy, I did not have a weapon equipped there. I will also show you on the map where we are at. This is Slowford over here. Now, there is a mini-boss over here. I'm not going to try to fight him right now because he will kill me, but he is called the White Griffin. He has a nasty move that deactivates your buffs that you have up. Anyway, so that is about, I think, all that I have to show you in this video. We did look at the dual-wielding Shadow Warrior, the Devout Guardian Melee Temple Guardian, and the ranged Capricious Hunter Dryad. So, yeah, if you decide to play any of these characters, I hope you enjoy. So, thanks for joining me, I guess. And I hope you found this informative. This is Bezlonir signing out.